Hey everyone, today is the 29th of March, 2017. I'm Reagan Weiss, Big Play, along with
Chris Cooley.
That's right. This is the Big Play in Big Daddy Show. I'm having a little, I'm just getting over sick, so I apologize. I had the flu for a few days. I'm just getting back into it. I'm sure Chris is going to hit me today on a few of my screw-ups. We already know we're going to start off the day with that. We have an interesting show today. Today we have Mr. Major Ed Beckman on the show today. He is running for the mayor of Newport Richey against the existing candidate, Rob Marleau. We'll hear from him today as well. But today we're going to start off with what, Chris?
Well, first of all, I'd like to talk about questioning your judgment. I mean, I understand you were sick, you had 103 fever. I've been sick too, bronchitis, the whole 9 yards. Although, when I went into the closet this morning to pick out my shirt for our show tonight, I dressed like an adult.
Well, I saw this 1974 vintage T-shirt. It looked kind of hip. I liked it. I wanted to bring it to the show tonight. I apologize if you don't like it, sir, but my audience might like it. Thank you. If you do, I appreciate it.
It's all smoke and mirrors, Reagan. That's all it really is. I mean, at the end of the day, you're wearing a medium-sized shirt here.
It's an extra large.
It's not an extra large.
It's an extra large.
Maybe in toddler. What do you got? What is it? 3T?
It's not Baby Gap.
Is it 3T?
No, it's extra large.
I mean, we're trying to do a professional show here. You come dressed like...
I just felt like being comfortable. Once again, I had the fever. I wasn't feeling right.
Listen, he's going to start flexing at some point.
The cotton breeze.
Hearts will soon, I'm sure.
The cotton breeze. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
all right?
I can smell the cotton breathing right now. All right, so why don't we start off with a little Where's the Beef?
Where's the beef, ladies and gentlemen? Let's do it. And... all right, where's the beef? Chris talked about it today. What are we doing?
You know, I think one of the folks I'd spoken to over the last week, and it's funny, we've gotten a lot of feedback on the show, and I'm really happy. I mean, it seems as though everybody's enjoying it. You've got a couple naysayers out there.
Yep.
Camera's over here. We've really got to spend a couple, 13 cents or something we can get a light on the camera?
No, I like the mystery. It's a good mystery.
Yeah, you're looking around like, who did it? Who touched me? What? You know, we've got a couple naysayers and whatnot, but, you know, again, like you said at the beginning, the first show, we're doing this for fun. We're doing this to try and shed a little light on our community.
Absolutely.
Some of the positive messages and whatnot. And we're going to have fun doing it. If the show's not your cup of tea, there's a little switch on the remote.
You don't have to watch it.
That's
you can just turn it right off.
It's a thing of beauty, man.
Listen, I've learned in life, Chris, I am not everyone's cup of tea, and I'm never going to be, and that's okay. I tell you, there was a time in my 20s and even into my mid-30s where you always want to please everyone. Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Listen, you know, you are perpetrating a major fraud here, okay? Just the fact that you're wearing that shirt, you are the vainest person I think I've met, and I can't tell you how long.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the farthest from the truth.
All right, so let's talk about some vanity.
Go ahead. All right, let's do it.
This plays right along with it. You know, one of the things that somebody had said to me this week was, Chris, what do you think of social media? So, you know, you got this moron running around with the cash me outside nonsense.
It's a shame.
I'm sorry, but I honestly feel as though social media can be such a powerful platform.
Correct.
But at the same time, it's almost the downfall of our society, so to speak.
Beyond a downfall, Chris, and I hate to say it, and I have to watch what my kids, look at. I'm sure you do the same thing. I try to regulate how much time they're on it. They truly, I see kids hiding behind it. They have no more moral compass. They're disconnected. What's the word I'm looking for? They're just they're desensitized, right?
That's a great word for it.
They're truly desensitized on everything because everything's at their fingertips. And we're not telling you anything that you already don't know, but kids are so desensitized today, nothing affects them, nothing bothers them. Makes me sick. And it's the look at me era. It truly is. Look at me, look at me, look at me, and look what I could do for me, and look what I can, not do for anyone else. I don't know, what's your thoughts?
I see it as it's our children have gotten away from us. Some parents have restrictions on social media, some don't. And the ones that don't, you could see our children misbehaving more. You can see them, there's a lack of respect, and it's expanding like a mushroom. But the fact of the matter is that you've got cyberbullying.
Oh, yeah.
And I think social media enables it.
Yeah.
You know, because back when I was in school, you know, I know it's hard to believe, and one of these days we should do a segment on bullying.
Absolutely.
You know, I didn't hit my major growth spurt until I would say I was a junior in high school. And I went from being, you know, this puny kid to all of a sudden, I'm 6'4", I'm a presence, I'm an athlete, I'm a big guy. And the bullying just, I didn't even have to make an attempt. It just stopped. Because at that point, back in those days, if you were going to bully somebody, you had to do it face to face.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it was, I've got to stand toe to toe with you, and I've got to bully you.
Oh, and you had to take it every single day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you see some videos of some of these kids that, you know, you can tell their parents have sent them to karate school or whatever, and the bully coming along, picking on the kid that's got a couple extra LBs on him, and all of a sudden, the chunky kid knocks the guy out. But on social media, you can bully somebody incessantly and never have to stand toe to toe with them.
Never stops.
But, you know, to add that to that further, I say it's the downfall of society because our children don't know how to communicate. In my business, I have interviewed countless people, and this generation does not know how to go to a job interview.
No eye contact, no longer eye contact, no strong handshakes. We talked about this all the time. They have no skill sets.
No.
They have no social skill sets.
They're no problem solving.
No.
Because in school, you know, they've got iPads, they've got cell phones, they've got all these technology pieces that, you know, they don't know, you know, back in our day, or my day at least, I'll speak specifically about myself, we had to go to the library. We knew what the Dewey Decimal System was and things of that nature, but going to the library taught you how to problem solve, getting through research, finding avenues of information and whatnot. These kids now, they just Google something. And if they can't find it on Google, you know,
it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. You know, I'm going next Monday. My wife asked me if I'd go to the Holocaust Museum with my daughters on their
St. Pete?
Field trip. And I can't wait to go because I'm a huge, I mean, you know, we've talked about it for years. I'm a huge history buff. I love history. My younger brother Josh used to do Civil War reenactments and stuff, and we would always talk about history. And it's an integral part of our history. It's a blemish on our history, but it's an important part. But you know, you look at these kids and they just, their lives are so consumed by this gadget in their hands that they don't understand there's a bigger world outside of them. And I think social media has gotten into the position where it's almost like social media is the parent of the children.
Other side of that, though, social media has also shown them how big and how large this world is. When I was a kid, you know, I thought this was my world, right? Just the circle around it. Now, you know, they've been exposed to everything and the good and the bad, the rated R and the rated G. I mean, they see all of it at once. So there's pros and cons to everything. You know that. I truly believe social media can be a great asset and tool. It's just how it's regulated with your kid.
You know, look, the flip side is there's a lot of pluses to social media.
100%.
Social media can give a small business, you know, a virtual marketing budget.
Correct. There's businesses that exist now because of social media. Our show exists because of internet and social media, where this couldn't happen 20 some odd years ago.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, so it's a little bit of a catch-22, but you know, as far as the concerns, I think they're concerns that we as parents need to identify that this is a potential, it is not a potential, it is an actual issue, and that we need to govern it a little bit. I mean, this girl on TV, this Cash Me Outside girl, I mean, if that was me back in the day, which was a Tuesday, by the way, if it was me back then, I would be missing teeth. I mean, because I came from a little bit different of a setting, you know. There was parochial treatment back then. I mean, you got swatted, you got smacked in the mouth or whatever, and it wasn't abuse. It was just back then that was the way of parenting or whatnot. And sometimes, hey, you know what? My mom is 5'6". You've met my mom. My mom weighs like 80 pounds soaking wet. I'm the smallest of the three. Actually, my older brother's the smallest of the three brothers. Josh is 6'7". I'm 6'4". Eddie's 6'3". I mean, when my mother cracked you in the mouth, it wasn't like, you know, she drew blood or knocked me out, but she's 5'6".
We talked about this a little bit on our first show there about spare the rod, spoil the child, and it doesn't, you know, that doesn't exist anymore.
But I could tell you that this Cash Me Outside girl, woo, she'd be living outside if she was in my house.
I just think she's a product of her environment.
Yeah.
And it's a shame. I heard, through the grapevine that her real father is apparently a deputy, but not being raised by that individual, being raised by their mother. And then I saw the things on social media. I saw how the mother truly wants fame. So that in itself right there kind of compiled everything.
If you look at the girl, her nails are done all up. She's got all this makeup on, all this jewelry on. Who's paying for all that?
Mommy. Well, you know what? And now the networks.
Oh, sure, but prior to.
Yeah.
Prior to. You know what, Mom?
Mm-hmm.
Don't take her to the nail salon if she's acting like that. Don't buy her the clothes. Now, she's probably got boys that are doing, buying stuff too, but,
I'm sure.
It's a situation where, to the child's detriment, the mother's gaining notoriety.
She's not only that, she's being glorified now. She's being, the girl's getting her own app. She's getting her own memes. I think she's getting her own show.
Right.
And
meanwhile, there's schlubs like us that we're just plugging away.
We're plugging away on our show, but I'm proud of our show. But also, Ty Lopez. Do you know that as Super Beard? Ty Lopez. You ever hear? He's a multi-gazillionaire investor. He brought. He does this thing on the internet. He actually brought her on his show, and gave her. He said, here's $20,000, and she's throwing money out and throwing bills, and our kids are looking at her and going, wow, look what you can do just by being an idiot.
Idiot I am, I'll get on TV.
Well, at 13 years old, she gets $30,000 per appearance now.
What?
Minimum $30,000 per appearance for the 13-year-old to come and basically berate crowds and talk like she does, and she's completely illiterate and completely just ignorant, and she can't read. She literally cannot read. They hired somebody, because the mother can barely read.
Yeah.
They hired somebody that is with them at all times to read stuff and legal stuff, like an attorney, but like somebody stays with them. And that's paid for by the networks and Dr. Phil and all that stuff.
God.
Sickening.
But see, that's what our look. We'll go into reality TV at some point too, but that's what our society's turning into. Mm-hmm. You look at the housewives in New Jersey. Are you kidding me? That's a reality show. That's a lack of reality show. You got criminals. I mean, you've got women that have no sense of self-dignity.
No.
My mother never acted like that. My grandmother never acted like that. My mother worked 3 jobs. My grandmother was the vice president of customer service of Irving Trust Bank. Yeah. I mean, they were, and that was back when women didn't have those positions. You got these idiots here. Oh, look at us. We're gonna. Because we talk like Goombas.
Reality
everybody
TV,
thinks everybody in New Jersey talks like that.
Which is not the case. Reality TV, as you know, is not reality TV.
No.
We've talked about this several times. I've been involved on Cake Boss. I was involved in Cake Boss. This is what, 4, 5, 6 years?
Yeah, about 5 years ago.
5, 6 years ago. Chris and I were working together on a project 6 years ago, and I was a part of Cake Boss. And also, there was a time in my life was Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie when they did the Simple Life. And I can assure you, it is not reality TV. I watched
scripted.
I watched the producer, exactly. I watched the producer come up to them. Nicole, do you have your line? Paris, do you have your line? And 3, 2, 1, go. Everything's scripted. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's all fake.
What were you doing on a show with Paris Hilton? And
this was it was a wiki-watchy type thing prior to my.
By the way, your sister is the.
Yes, my sister is the mayor of Wiki-Watchy, Florida. Yes.
Interesting little tidbit. We just had to throw that little bone out there.
Yes, she is. And
now, have you been tested? Just from coming in near contact with those 2 women, have you been tested?
Oh, no, stop it. Super Beard, never.
Just the air around him. It's
like I got John in my ear saying, move closer. I'm like, I don't know. I need a tetanus shot or something, a rabies shot.
Not me.
Like an aura of STD.
Never.
That's like a petri dish.
Ladies and gentlemen, when we come back from break, we will be with Mr. Major Ed Beckman.
back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Big Play and Big Daddy Show. I am Chris Cooley. I'm here with Reagan Weiss. And tonight we have an esteemed guest with us that I would like to introduce myself.
Esteemed.
Yeah, esteemed. That's a word. I got John in my ear questioning whether or not esteemed is. That's an SAT word, John. I'm just saying, all right? So, Major Ed Beckman, 30 years at the Pasco Sheriff's Office. I would first like to say, I mean, obviously we all know, we've talked in other episodes about my brother Josh. My brother Josh had the privilege of working alongside you, but I would like to say, you know, thank you very, very much for your service to protect our families in Pasco County, and welcome to the show tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Chris. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Reagan.
Great to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Let's start the show off with, you know, we want to do it a little differently tonight. We'd like you to, you know, feel as though you've got a message out there. I mean, I ran a campaign, and a lot of times you'd go to a venue and it was a canned thing where you don't have a lot of personality. I think this is important, especially with a city type of environment where, you know, folks really need to see who you are as a person and why you're so passionate about this job. So you want to give us a little insight as to your vision and why you want to do this?
Yeah, I appreciate that. I've been a resident, my wife and I, for 29 years, same house. We're still in our starter house. I'm in an area of the city that I guess you can call it transitional. It's off the Marine Parkway area near the old hospital. Been fortunate enough, obviously, that my wife and I have always kind of lived within our means, and by doing so, we sent our daughter to law school, and we sent our son to school, and he's now a deputy sheriff with the sheriff's office.
Oh, congratulations.
So we're very, very proud of both of our kids. But vision, and when we were talking earlier, I would have never guessed in a million years. Now, I've been here for quite a long time, and if you told me just 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that we would have prostitutes walking up and down US 19, I'd tell you crazy. But obviously, with the growth of the Tampa Bay area and the big influx of transients, and obviously there's a lot of factors involved, that it seems that we become somewhat of a melting pot to transient folks that have moved into our community. My vision is to, how do we change that? How do we start attracting families? What drew me to Newport Richey? We have walking schools in our community. We have shopping. We have a downtown area, and council has done some things. Obviously, the Sims Park is a beautiful model, but those things were already rolling in motion, and a lot of things that have been happening in the city are a result of our upward economy. But we still have issues. We have issues with blight. We have issues with drugs. We have issues with prostitutes. And we also have a lack of cooperation, I feel, on behalf of the council to work collaboratively with the Board of County Commissioners on the harbor plan, a plan that's been in place for 4 years. There's an enclave, obviously, that a lot of people know about behind Southgate Mall, Van Doren and Leisure Lane, and these areas are these two blocks, and this little enclave falls within the county, but butts up pretty much on two sides of the city limits of Newport Richey, and it is a haven for prostitutes and vagrancy and narcotics. And I know that the sheriff's office, having been at the sheriff's office and been over court services, my warrants folks were very frequently in there. And I know code enforcement, I attended the BOCC meeting yesterday, and there was a lot of talk about the CRA, about the Community Redevelopment Agency, and on the county's end, but also the cities, and in particular Newport Richey, where there's a lot of issues there where it's going to cause pause once this story comes out, and I'm sure it will be out. But it also goes a step farther. As a leader, as an elected official, you're representing the people of Newport Richey. And I kind of got a little bit jabbed because I said one of the things that the mayor needs to be is also the cheerleader for the city. You have to be. You have to be the ambassador. You have to be the cheerleader. You have to be the representative. And I think it's been absent. And there has to be a mechanism to where, I get that the mayor's position, you have the role of handling the people's business. You're cheering the council meeting. But it's a part-time job, but you need a full-time effort. And you need a full-time effort. You just can't not get engaged with certain things. And all this stuff has been manifesting in this little area in the county, and it's easy just to sit out and then go public and say, well, the sheriff's not doing nothing, the Board of County Commissioners aren't doing nothing. Well, what have you done, Mr. Mayor? Have you picked up the phone and called the commission chair, or called the commissioner that oversees that part of the area? Have you called the sheriff? Have you called the chief deputy of the sheriff's office, Jeff Harrington? None of their phones have rang. There has to be a little bit of onus of leadership.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, getting back to vision, obviously we all want a safe community, and we want our businesses down there to prosper. And there's always, this has been going on, and you guys have been in this area for a long time, and you've heard it. We want to be like Dunedin. We want to be like Safety Harbor. And it's kind of getting to the point where, how long are we going to beat the drum and start tapping into our potential?
Absolutely.
Those other communities don't have what we have, and that's a river running right through the middle of town. I mean, we have to be able to look at what we have, and we have a theater downtown that's run by a separate entity. But how do you partner with that and get the most potential out of that to bring the foot traffic downtown to where the businesses are going to benefit from that? Now, granted, we do have the night spots that are there, and certain times that they're prosperous, but we also have a couple specialty things down there that I would like to see expanded. I'd like to see the specialty shops come in. And then we have the Hacienda that obviously that was one of the city's purchases, along with the First Baptist Church property, and then the Church of Christ Scientist, whatever, the one on River Road. And not, the council today obviously inherited a lot of these issues, but you have to look at, how do we not go down that road again? The Main Street Landing debacle. I mean, Mr. McGurn, he's made out like a bandit.
Yeah, of course.
On the backs of the taxpayers. And obviously, the city administration back in, a decade ago, where they bought the Baptist Church for a exorbitant amount of money. And then now Mr. Starkey, Frank Starkey, great guy. He's got great vision. He had a bargain deal, but he got it. You live in the city.
Yeah, absolutely.
He got a bargain on.
He got a heck of a deal, and
$300,000.
And I looked at his vision, and I saw the plans. I can't wait to see it out.
Exactly.
Looking forward to it.
But before we do anything, and that was one of the things I brought up is, and I'm sure he is too, let's do some market analysis to see if there is going to be that demand for that type of housing. Obviously, this Main Street Landing should be a total wake-up call that we not get involved in that. But when we look at vision, what I want to see for the city, I want to see the city prosper. I want to see us start attracting families, those that want to set roots here, and everybody has a seat at the table, so to speak, to where if we have some issues, we can't let them manifest, and there has to be input. And obviously, not everybody is going to be involved with government, but we have to be encouraged, like shows like this, where you can get the message out. And listen, I'm an everyday guy. I have worked in public office for 30 years, and I know about networking, I know about getting things done, I know about deadlines, I know about strategic planning, budgets, I get all of that. But there's also the other role that I think that council as a whole needs to do, and that is to assist county or city staff when they run into these roadblocks with certain things, and to be that voice, to be that recruiter. It's not, we were talking about the Hacienda, and about some different ideas, and making it a museum, making it a business incubator. How about let's get a restaurant to anchor that. I mentioned about the Columbia. How cool would it be to
that'd
get?
be fantastic. That's my favorite restaurant in the world.
Yeah,
How cool would it be to get?
What's the salad, baby?
1905.
1905, my wife's favorite.
My
She can
favorite
eat that
too.
every
My
day.
wife would drag me down there kicking and screaming.
Yep.
But the Gonsmarts that own that, and I'm fortunate enough where I have a network of a close friend that is involved with the Gonsmarts. He knows them well. They're part of the Ybor Rotary. That's where the Ybor Rotary Club is at. I'm fortunate that I'm in the Newport Richey Club, but it's one of those things where, you know what, even if it's just getting some dialogue going and getting the talk going, because if that doesn't pan out, maybe something else does.
Well, see, if I can interrupt you for a second, one of the things we had talked about pre-show and whatnot, and what I liked to some of the things you had said, when I ran, I kept saying things like, we need a vision, we need a business plan, we need a strategy. You plan the work and you work the plan. And it's more of a business, approach to government. I think we've gotten away with, a lot of nonsense over the years because it's an elected official, and then it's they have personal wants, personal desires, or whatever, and it gets tilted in that direction. One of the things that I campaigned on for 9 months was the fact that we have ignored a tremendous natural resource. We, in my opinion, have the gateway to the Gulf. And we could be another John's Pass. And I don't say that lightly. And I had a plan to do it and a way to do it. But the reason I'm bringing that up is because what kind of got me interested in some of the things you were talking about was you and I had a discussion about the rec center in Newport Richey and how dumping millions and millions of dollars in that. And you had a great idea. I'd like you to touch on that for a minute.
Well, first, let's rewind and talk about when the rec center was built. It was originally price tagged at $9 million to build it. Overages and
Yes.
we want this and we want that. By the time the price tag came in, it was $14 million. With the pool just a tad bit too small to hold sanctioned meets now. So that in itself is problematic to whoever was overseeing that was asleep at the switch where they didn't realize, hey, now we can't even hold sanctioned meets here like we used to with the old pool. But when you look at now, just recently, council has appropriated another $1.8 million of penny for Pasco dollars into this rec center. And personally, guys, I think the rec center was good the way it was. I mean, having a business plan, like you said, to say build it and they will come. Even if they doubled the membership, it's still going to be losing money. It's $1 million a year to
We're going to get
operate
right back to that
thing.
comment. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back with Mr. Major Ed Beckman. All right, Reagan Weiss, Chris Cooley, back with Major Ed Beckman. Right before the break, we were talking about the rec center. Now, Mr. Beckman has some ideas about the rec center, thinking that it's good the way it is, and I'm going to push back a little bit real quick. Mr. Beckman, here's my thought process. So you have the rec center. Some idiot, I'm going to say it, built it too short, and now it can't be sanctioned races. Pipeline swimming is there now. Okay, this is called Pipeline Swimming. They have all their races there. Now, Pipeline Swimming is a phenomenal group of people. And what they've been requesting is to build a 50-meter pool there. Okay? Now, if they built a 50-meter pool there, they guarantee tourism dollars. They guarantee tourism dollars. They have just hear me out, Chris. I know you're against it. Hear me out. No one knows this. Brooke Bennett, who is an Olympic gold medalist, is a coach at Pipeline Swimming. Okay. She is there at the Newport Richey Rec Center. One of the coaches from Rio, that from this summer, just came back and is there now. They have that ability. They're telling me they're going to put heads in beds, and they can do it if they had that 50-meter pool. But if we're not for that, it's not going to happen. What's your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts obviously are, what kind of impact is it going to have on the city? Okay. And looking at, are we going to tie up? We have so many infrastructure needs, from repaving roads, alleyways that need to be regraded. Not saying they need to be paved, but they need to be filled in, regraded. We have seawall issues that need to be addressed. These things, the more that they wait, the more that it's going to cost down the road.
So priority level.
Yeah, priority level. Okay. But I also would like to see some sort of a partnership. And one of the things that I was just, with the wheels turning, and I have been told that, well, discussions had happened a while back, but, Baycare is the largest employer in the city, private employer. It's a nonprofit. They have about 500 employees just at the hospital there. Why don't we bring them to the table and say, hey, what can we do for you on behalf of the rec center? We have these new trails that they got grant funding for that go right from the hospital to there. There's a different track around the hospital where there's different exercise stuff that you can do. Why not say, hey, listen, costs us $1 million a year, around about $1 million a year to operate this place. Why not split it with us? We keep all of our employees. You give us $500,000. All of your people that work for Baycare at that hospital, their families, they now have access. They are now members. And let's go one step further. We have a gym and we have a pool. Let's start use it for some of your patients for rehabbing. We have to think a little bit outside the box. Is there a problem with having the Newport Richey Rec Center in partnership with Baycare?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
It's called get rid of the vanity.
And if we can take that $500,000 savings and apply it to either, let's roll the millage rate a little bit back again, give some people some relief, or what are we, like 9.13 mils? We're pushing the state cap. Or take that money and start using it on some different capital projects.
Well, let me ask you, what are they saying the cost of fixing the pool is? Another $1 million?
Well, no, that's adding, the 50-meter pool literally would be building a whole entire pool.
Here's my beef with that. My beef with that is, again, we've heard it 1,000 times in my race, somebody else guaranteeing tourism, and look at all this tourism. We had a license plate here from Michigan. Now it's called a snowbird. But the point being is, you can't guarantee me tourism. You can't guarantee me heads in beds. And I'll tell you why. Because we cannot be a destination until we fix what is here. We can't, when you go on vacation or you go to a destination, you want fine restaurants, you want a nice place to stay, you want recreational activities, you want an attraction to go to, stores to shop in to get your souvenirs. We don't have any of that. Because we've been kicking the can down the road so long. My feeling is that we have got to fix the basis, the foundation of the house first before we start throwing a new coat of paint on it.
My biggest thing, Chris and Mr. Beckman, is prostitution and drugs.
Absolutely.
Period.
So would
get
you
that
rather
out of the
spend $1 million?
I want to see the city cleaned up first.
Or take $1 million and fight crime and clean up this city.
I want to see the city cleaned up first, and then everything else will come.
Those you're answering your own question.
And those are those quality of life issues that
Just won
really
that debate, ladies and gentlemen.
those quality of life issues that go to even what I was talking about earlier in the segment was how do we become that community where we want to attract families again? And I think it even goes a step further. How do we collaboratively work with the district school board of Pasco County for Marlowe, for Ritchie, for golf and golf high and golf middle to get those grades up? Because if you have your family and I'm like, hey Reagan, you know, before you go out and buy in Trinity or move out towards Wesley Chapel, why don't you give Newport Ritchie a try? You know, your lot right there, you can build a house, your kids can walk right to Ritchie Elementary, and you're going to go and say, well, that school has this grade. I mean, why am I going to take a chance on that?
Major, I moved here for that. I mean, I moved here because I wanted that small quality town life. I want to walk to the grocery store. I want to walk to the local market. I want to walk to the ice cream shop with my kids. I want to do that, but I can't do that right now because I'm even my wife running through the streets of Newport Ritchie. Everybody knows who my wife is, running through the streets of Newport Ritchie with my chocolate lab. And I'm telling you, she's been attacked. That's how bad the crime is in our city. And I know we have to clean up. I know we're this close. We are truly that close.
Yeah, but it's gonna take some efforts to start putting some strategies together. One of the things I do like about the harbor plan is it opens up a whole plan to where you can look at some different type of things, and it may be some budgeting things. And one of the things I wanted to address with the sheriff and along with Port Ritchie and Newport Ritchie is when you get that opportunity to serve is why don't we come up with some strategies, some enforcement strategies along with code enforcement to where, you know, the harbor plans from Holiday to Arapaika. Let's start targeting that, and if we have to invest a little bit of, I call it just overtime dollars. We don't really have to look at going out and getting law enforcement FTEs, those full-time positions. But what about if we took X amount of dollars and we did a 2 or 2.5 year mission to where we had certain strategic things that we were going to do enforcement-wise to where people are either going to, these less desirable businesses that are here or these issues that are just manifesting, if you keep hitting that periodically during the course of like a 2.5, 3 year period, sooner or later it's going to start correcting itself, and you're going to start changing the way, and then in the backside you get some more investment with something. Here's a for instance, you know, code enforcement just in the city alone. I'm still waiting to get a definitive number, but at one point it was communicated to me that the outstanding code enforcement fines were pushing 7 figures in the city.
I know that.
So how do you, what are we doing here? Why aren't we working with the tax collector's office and the property appraiser's office to start enforcing that through the tax bills? And now Mr. Joyner, who I'm very good friends with, says that, you know, as long as that property's not homesteaded, he has the power under statute to put a 10% raise on that property tax value. So if you have these management companies or these property owners that are out of the area, out of the state, and that's not homesteaded, you are going to force their hand. And maybe then it's how we can get with maybe some developers or some investors that want to, you know, sell and gear towards that young family starting out and start changing the culture of how we do business.
Yeah, you have to hold these people accountable. Absolutely.
Well, you know, I just think it's also we're stuck in such a small way of thinking. We'll throw a McDonald's up or a Dollar General up on every 50 feet. Why? Why aren't we bringing culture to the area? You know, I tried to talk about some of the ideas that I had for that Gulfview, I call it the Gulfview dumpster, but it's the Gulfview Mall. About, you know, you could turn it into a marina community, you could turn it into, if you wanted a new mall there, which I don't think we need another mall there, but if we put a new mall there, make it an ocean-themed mall, and let's build an aquarium there. Well, the first thing somebody says is, well, who's going to pay for that? Call up Guy Harvey. He's buying land in Tarpon. Sit down with him and say, we want to name this the Guy Harvey Aquarium at Newport Ritchie. What I like, what I'm hearing is that, you know, my grandmother used to say the only bad idea is the one you don't suggest. Because you know you got to keep the creative juices going, and somebody may laugh at your idea, but it may be the best idea in the world. And I appreciate the fact that you've got some outside the box ideas.
One of the biggest things, and let me know if I'm right here, you too, Chris, is the city of New Port Richey is lacking a marketing campaign.
Absolutely.
You don't have a cheerleader, and it should be within the mayor. I don't want to say the word.
I was criticized
but
today for being the so-called cheerleader.
You need a marketing campaign to encourage a positive lifestyle within the city.
Sure.
You need that. Hey, walk with your family, go out with your kids, do constant positive reinforcements. Now, if you do that, you're going to bring a different lifestyle into the city. When the lifestyle changes, the demographic changes. When the demographic changes, more money comes in, and then we're having nicer houses.
It's kind of funny you mention that because just doing a little bit of research on the millennium generation, that's what they're after.
They love. Are you kidding me?
That's what
they
they're
want.
after.
The houses that are beat up and fixing
exactly.
them up.
That's what they're after. They're about the redevelopment, the revitalization.
Our garden district in downtown New Port Richey.
Exactly.
It's a fantastic program.
That is, and we're not capitalizing enough on that. Here we have ordinances in place, and I know Mr. Deschamps. I've only met him a couple times. I talked to him on the phone a couple weeks ago, and I was just kind of bouncing some different ideas. And he really went out above and beyond to get those ordinances put in place about the gardens. But then again, how do we capitalize on it? And we talked about vision. Why don't we have the city of St. Petersburg started this a while back, and it's been totally successful. Peggy, my wife, and I have been down there for it First Friday. Why don't we have a First Saturday? Why don't we have a First Saturday? Maybe do something late morning, early afternoon that kind of gears towards family and gears towards the kids. Where you can do stuff, maybe some stuff in the park, but the Railroad Square, we invested all this money in Railroad Square. Why don't we throw that down the First Saturday? Have a farmer's market, have some vendors that come out there, and then maybe later at night there's a cruise-in with the classic cars or some motorcycles and their vendors set up. Maybe get the area restaurants involved with doing different things. And those are just things that really they don't take a lot, but they bring a lot, and it starts showcasing and that we're missing that market.
It's the marketing campaign.
God forbid we give somebody else kudos for something that's successful somewhere else.
True.
Major, we do need to wrap it up, but I would like to do two things. Number one, Major Beckman's wife Peggy's over here in our studio. We wanted to say thank you very much
for coming. We appreciate you.
It's a pleasure meeting you. Behind every strong man is a much stronger woman.
Absolutely.
And I would like to ask you, what's the one message or the last message you'd like to get across to the folks?
I think the last message would be that for too long that we've just been stagnant. And I think when you talk about over the years that we want to emulate these other communities in our area, then why I want to tap into potential and start chipping away at these things some of the things that we talked about. Making our community safer, start attracting families here. Work with the school board to get those grades up of those schools and work on the transient student, because we have transient rentals, but the schools also have that issue of the transient student from there. And how do we work at chipping away at that and making our community more safer? We have that convenience store across the street from City Hall. That is a melting pot of crime. It was right in front, now they go right behind it. I got a buddy that has a business right down the street, tells me about it all the time. We need to use our ordinances and state statute enforcement. That would make a great parking lot, to say the least. It would be. And once we start turning the corner on these things and start marketing our city better, I think that the sky's the limit.
All right, that was Major Ed Beckman, everyone. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And we're going to have some words from our sponsors, and we'll be back here in a little bit with Big Play and Big Daddy. Hey, and we're back.
It's a good thing we're not live during the breaks at times.
Big play here, and Big Daddy.
We probably. Well, listen. I mean, first things first. I want to thank Super Beard. Can we get a camera over on our good buddy Super Beard over here? Awesome.
Where's he at?
He
handsome
brought
dude.
me some.
Handsome dude right there.
He brought me some of his. That is a Super Beard.
He's got some cool Deadpool shirt on right now. I'd like to say.
He brought me some pre-shave oil from his new product line that I'm really excited to try out. You know, making this whole thing look as luscious as it does.
It's really shiny.
So we were talking at the break about your Don Johnson beard. I mean, you know, next week I think you should do the white linen coat with the pushed-up sleeves, a pink T-shirt.
If you want, I am comfortable doing that.
And you can be Crockett, and I'll be Tub.
You're the...
Not plural, just Tub. Like a tub of butter.
I was going to say Tubby.
Tub. Well, see, we got to start, you know.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the Wheel of Misfortune.
Wheel of Misfortune.
The topics on your tool.
Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. We're spinning the wheel. If it lands on something, you know, we'll do
something we've already talked about.
We just change it around. I don't see it. Pet peeves.
You've already done that.
We already did pet peeves.
Well, pet peeves will be on there every week, but try and spin it again and see if we can get a different topic. Some of them are a little stale.
They are a little stale. We're going to have to change this up for next week. And we have what? I can't see it, Super Beard.
I got it.
You got it, buddy? Come on.
It is travel ban liberal TV.
Stop with that travel ban thing. I thought we were
It's been on there. Why don't you
The travel
come up with some
ban's
topics?
gone. One more time. One more time. This is what happens online. We don't even know what we're doing.
This princess just shows up for the show. He's not here for any of the you know.
Oh, you got travel ban again. I got
Just
this.
do
I got
it.
this.
Just give me. Just pick something.
Why don't you just stop?
We're just going to change this Wheel of Misfortune. What is it?
College athletes. We already did that too. I want you guys to talk about PBS.
All right. Let's talk about PBS.
Oh, PBS.
Let's talk about PBS.
This started a whole argument with Reagan and I because
bring it up. You can bring it up.
You know,
Go
Reagan
ahead.
has this
I have a talent.
this amazing talent that he could talk like Elmo.
It's a hidden talent,
And he wanted me to interview Elmo, and I said that is the most
I
ridiculous thing I've
thought
ever heard
we're
of.
going to talk about it. I don't care. I thought it would have been fantastic. They had how many hits was that they had on it?
4 million.
4 million hits. They did a video on Elmo being interviewed saying, on social media, another pro and con.
You could do all this. You know what? John's got another fantastic show called Nerd Talk. That's a perfect venue
Then we'll do it
for
on
you
Nerd
to
Talk.
interview
Let me
Elmo.
finish. These people don't know what I'm talking about. So they did. I don't know if you saw it on social media. So they did this on Elmo got interviewed, and he was going to lose his job by PBS, and he was very upset about it. And we were going to do a whole skit. I was going to bring an Elmo doll in. I was going to do the Elmo voice. Chris was going to interview it.
I'm not interviewing Elmo.
He downed it.
Okay, I do have somewhat of a reputation. Okay, now PBS.
Go ahead.
Look, we have a president of the United States.
Yes, we do.
Okay, his name is Donald Trump. Knock it off. The election's over. He's been elected. It's time to put your big girl, big boy pants on, and let's go to work next week. Now,
Your camera's over here.
one of the things, and the camera's over here. John, I need a light. I'm a visual guy.
Why am I
Anyway,
in his
the
shot?
point I'm making here is that, you know, from what I've seen, everybody's upset because he's doing what he said he was going to do during his campaign. I'm going to cut the fat. I'm going to cut all the nonsense out. I'm going to cut the programs that need to be trimmed back. You know, you've got PBS, okay?
That's not a program. I'm against cutting that program.
And that's great because we're going to argue this point.
Go ahead.
Because my point is this. How wealthy is Sesame Street?
Beyond wealthy.
Okay. It's on HBO now. Okay. It used to be the Electric Company, Sesame Street.
But there's other besides Sesame Street that would leave the PBS station, and the poor individuals that can't afford HBO and so forth that need PBS. You got to look at it from that perspective, Chris. Not everyone's got money in their pockets, and they need
It's got nothing to do with HBO. I mean, you've got regular network television.
Okay.
Okay. The point being is that again, you know, Sesame Street became what it is partially because of PBS. Well, then why wasn't Sesame Street kicking it to, you know, PBS? Why weren't they paying PBS? Now I have to pay for PBS when you've got a multi-bazillion dollar industry that is Sesame Street.
Yeah.
I just feel like, where does it stop? Where does it stop that all these other people are becoming rich off of the tax dollars for PBS?
Listen.
Now, I'm sure there's a million things you're going to argue
No.
about why PBS is good.
I want to listen. I'm all about cutting the fat. Okay, let's cut the fat. Let's see what Trump has to say. Cut the fat worldwide. See what we need to do. I get that, but when you take away specific programs, educational programs, and like I keep saying, for those individuals that can't afford the cable, think about it.
What about all the education dollars that have been sapped out of our public school system for the last 8 years by Democrats? That we can forget about that, or Republicans before that. See, here's the problem that I see. It's a bipartisan thing, okay? You've got your pork barrel nonsense. You've got all your little, your self-interested parties and the people that donated to your campaign. But, we've been cutting back on the education system for decades. And all of a sudden it's Donald Trump's cutting back on our schools because he's cutting out PBS. If the smallest thing we lose is PBS, but our school systems flourish, oh well.
Yeah, it didn't matter who became president.
Right.
Whoever had to cut the fat, Trump just getting the brunt of it, and that's it. Period.
I think that as far as PBS goes, listen. I mean, I grew up watching PBS.
Yeah.
I watched The Electric Company. I watched Sesame Street. Mr. Rogers.
Yes, great guy.
I mean, there's a lot of great
Mr.
programs.
Rogers.
But you know what? Every single one of those every single one of those shows, the stars on those shows, the creators, the producers, the managers, they were all made extremely wealthy off of PBS. So when does the can stop getting kicked around for more money to get dumped into it? We have got such huge problems as a country, and our resources just, they're getting sapped.
Yeah, no, you're right. John just made a good point. PBS is strong enough to stand on its own.
Well, I'm glad John just said that, because what do you think I'm saying with Sesame Street? Sesame Street could foot the bill for everything. Yeah. The sale of the Elmo doll alone. Do you know how much money the Elmo doll, your buddy, has produced in sales?
My buddy Elmo? I have no idea. And don't even throw a number because you don't really know. But a lot. It's a lot, and I get it. It's a lot.
I can actually tell you what the Tickle Me Elmo doll made the first holiday season. First holiday season, the Tickle Me Elmo doll made $500 million.
Tickle Me Elmo made 500. That's right from Super Beard's mouth. Okay, question that source. $500 million, Reagan.
That's fantastic.
Now, what is the budget for PBS?
I have no idea.
Do we know, John?
I couldn't even tell you.
$1.1 billion. Well, half of that is just on Tickle Me Elmo.
All right, we can't argue. It's a moot point. Okay, PBS, it goes. Sesame Street will survive on its own. Yes, it's not. John, is it John? John's saying it's more of a liberal view. I don't honestly, John. I don't watch it enough.
I think television period has become liberal.
Yeah, anything on television.
I'll tell you what. I was watching TV. I was watching Bill O'Reilly a couple of weeks ago, and he had a couple of liberals on there, and he challenged them to say, name one conservative from each of the major networks. They can't do it. Can't come up with one.
Yeah, I know.
And that's what I'm saying. We are being brainwashed. Yeah. That, oh my gosh, the sky is falling because Donald Trump wants to get rid of PBS. That's not our biggest problem, folks.
The small-minded are being brainwashed. No one else is brainwashed. It's the small-minded America.
You want to give another quick spin here?
Quick one.
John, how are we doing on time?
Let's do a quick
We got 1 minute left.
What do we got?
You want to do a pet peeve?
Sure, knock it out.
That's what you landed on anyway.
Yeah, we landed on pet peeve. Go ahead, pet peeve. Go ahead.
I don't have a lot. Yeah, no, here's my pet peeve. We've been flying a lot lately, right?
Go ahead.
I can't stand these people. A carry-on is a carry-on. It's this big. It fits in this box. You do not have the right to bring 6 pieces of luggage on the plane and put them in the overhead bin where I'm sitting, and then I don't have any space above the overhead bin for my stuff.
I have every right to bring as many bags as I possibly can. Yes, I can.
It's one carry-on item.
Like
one
you don't sneak something on.
I don't.
Yep.
Because I'm responsible. I'm courteous to others. All right.
Lies.
I am courteous
You
to
sit on a
others
throne of lies.
I bring my briefcase.
Yeah.
All right, in there's my headphones, my neck pillow, the whole everything. My book is in there because I read a lot of books, folks, and your children should too. But the point I'm saying here is, I bring my personal stuff in my suitcase. My wife brings her purse and a carry-on bag. Okay, that's it. These people literally have their luggage, and they get away with it. Why? Because we're afraid to say you can't bring that on the plane, sir.
That's my biggest pet peeve. No one's got balls enough to speak up. No one can speak up anymore. That's a problem.
Well, I speak up just in general terms.
All right, anyway.
You've been whispering tonight a little bit.
I'm sick. I'm getting over the flu.
Oh, my gosh, get over it. You're such a baby.
I'm getting over the flu. He made fun of my T-shirt. Ed Beckman is here. Next week, we're going to have...
What do we got next week?
Mayor Marlowe. He is the existing mayor of Newport Richey, and we're going to see what he is going to bring to the table. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Reagan Weiss, Big Play, along with...
Chris Cooley.
It's been fun. See you next week.